before the world makes its demands, before noise, before expectation, before the quiet pressure to perform, there is a moment that belongs only to us, a cold, silent moment. It is here that the true battle begins, not in the marketplace, not in the office, not in the chaos of other people's opinions, but within, each morning. We awaken into a world that does not promise fairness, kindness, or ease. We open our eyes into uncertainty, into delay, into disappointment, into misunderstanding, into temptation, and yet we are not helpless before it, because the first territory we must govern is not the world, it is the mind. The first realization: nothing enters without permission when we rise. Thoughts arrive uninvited. Worry walks in without knocking. Resentment lingers from yesterday. Fear whispers of what may come. Anger recalls what should not have happened. And hope, fragile but present, asks whether we will choose differently today. We must understand this. The mind is not a passive container. It is a gate, and we are its keeper. As Epictetus reminds us, it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. The insult does not wound us. Our interpretation does. The delay does not frustrate us. Our expectation does. The hardship does not defeat us. Our surrender does, each morning. Therefore, begins with a quiet act of defiance. We refuse to allow destructive thoughts to take root. The second realization: the mind reflects what we feed. Eat a neglected field grows weeds. A guarded field grows nourishment. So too does the mind. If we feed it with grievance, it will produce bitterness. If we feed it with comparison, it will produce envy. If we feed it with fear, it will produce paralysis. But if we feed it with clarity, if we feed it with discipline, if we feed it with deliberate perspective, it becomes a fortress, not against pain, but against collapse. Each morning, we remind ourselves, today will bring difficulty, today will bring misunderstanding, today may bring betrayal, today may bring loss, and yet we prepare not by wishing these away, but by strengthening the inner ground upon which they will fall. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in the stillness of his own dawn reflections, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Strength does not lie in controlling events. Strength lies in refusing to let events control the direction of our thoughts. The third realization: destructive emotions are signals. Not master's anger will appear. Fear will visit. Despair will whisper. But they are not commands. They are signals. They announce a conflict between expectation and reality. When anger rises, it is not an enemy to obey, but a message to interpret. When fear speaks, it is not a tyrant to kneel before, but a question to examine. What do we believe we are owed? What outcome are we clinging to? What illusion have we mistaken for certainty? In the morning silence, we confront these emotions before the world amplifies them. We ask, is this thought useful? Is this judgment necessary? Is this reaction within my control? If not, we release it, not because it is easy, but because it is essential. As Seneca warned, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. So much of our pain is pre-lived, so much of our anger is rehearsed, so much of our sorrow is anticipated. By filling the mind with deliberate thoughts, grounded, rational, steady, we deny destructive emotions the stage upon which they perform. The fourth realization: the world cannot be gentle, so we must be strong. We do not wake expecting kindness. We do not wake expecting justice. We do not wake expecting understanding. We wake expecting challenge, not because we are pessimists, but because we are prepared. Prepared minds do not shatter when reality proves indifferent. Instead, they adapt, they absorb, they respond. Each morning we remind ourselves, we may be ignored, we may be misunderstood, we may be treated unfairly, and yet none of these can poison us unless we invite them into our thinking. The insult remains outside until we internalize it. The failure remains external until we define ourselves by it. The hardship remains temporary until we imagine it permanent. So we choose thoughts that fortify. We choose interpretations that strengthen. We choose meaning that empowers. The fifth realization: discipline begins with thought before action is disciplined. Thought must be before behavior is steady. Judgment must be. We cannot live a resilient life with a chaotic inner world. Each morning we take inventory. Which thoughts deserve space? Which deserve exile? We remind ourselves, not every thought is truth. Not every feeling is wisdom. Not every impulse is guidance. We train the mind the way. Others train the body, through repetition, through correction, through persistence. When resentment appears, we answer with perspective. When fear appears, we answer with preparation. When doubt appears, we answer with purpose. Slowly, the mind learns. Slowly, it bends toward steadiness. The sixth realization: inner mastery creates outer freedom. The world may restrict us. Circumstances may confine us, but a governed mind remains unconquered. When we fill our thoughts with clarity instead of chaos, we become difficult to manipulate, difficult to provoke, difficult to discourage, because we are no longer reacting to the world. We are interpreting it. We are shaping it. We are deciding what it means. And in doing so, we reclaim something no force can remove: authority over ourselves. A person who masters thought cannot be easily ruled by fear. A person who masters interpretation cannot be easily broken by failure. A person who masters emotional response cannot be easily enslaved by anger. The seventh realization: each morning is a recommitment. This is not a battle won once. It is fought daily. Every sunrise demands renewal. Every morning asks, will we allow yesterday's wounds to shape today's thinking? Will we allow imagined futures to steal present clarity? Will we allow passing emotions to define permanent identity? Or will we choose again? Choose steadiness. Choose reason. Choose strength. Choose thoughts that elevate rather than degrade. Because what fills the mind directs the life. A mind filled with bitterness creates a bitter path. A mind filled with fear creates a narrow one. But a mind filled with disciplined, constructive thought creates resilience. Walking together, we are not alone in this effort. Across centuries, others have risen before dawn to perform this same inner work, to confront themselves, to challenge their thinking, to refine their thinking, to refine their perception, to ensure that when the world arrives, harsh or indifferent, it meets not a fragile spirit, but a fortified one. So we stand each morning at the same threshold, between chaos and clarity, between reaction and intention, between weakness and strength, and we decide what will fill the space within, not because the world demands it, but because our freedom depends on it. Fill the mind wisely, and the day cannot easily defeat us. Guard it fiercely, and no external storm will uproot us. Train it daily, and destructive emotions will lose their authority. This is how we rise, not above the world, but above our surrender to it.